Welcome back. Yeah, the video has come a little bit later than I expected. But uh, Devil May Cry 3, I wanted to do this the same day that I did Devil May Cry 2, but oh well. Um, take what you can get. um, this is my favorite one, and to many people, it's their favorite one too. Um, the best version to get is the special edition, which I have here in my hands right now. Um, because if you get the regular version of Devil May Cry 3, the normal mode is actually the Japanese hard mode, so be forewarned, the normal mode is hard. Uh, and the easy mode is actually the normal mode. Uh, in the special edition, they actually got all that figured out. Normal mode is normal mode, hard mode is hard mode, then they got very hard mode, Dante Must Die mode, Heaven versus Hell mode, uh, then they got easy automatic mode, which they also had in the first game. Uh, Easy automatic is the one most people played because it was an easier way to get into the game without the hassle of going through the shadows, which the shadows is an enemy I should have mentioned in my review of the first game, but I'll mention it here. The shadows are pretty damn difficult. Uh, they're pretty much these black figures. Every time you cast a shadow, they end up appearing. So you gotta be very careful not to cast too much of a shadow. But even then, it's still pretty difficult. Um, what happens is they take on the form of cats. Like, then they grow into like this being that black figure, similar to the Nilo Angelo or the Dark Angel. Um, but these are tougher than Nilo Angelo, and it just annoyed me. But back on topic, Devil May Cry 3. It is a prequel. It takes place before the first one. It doesn't take place before any of the other ones. It takes place right from the first one, like right before it. Um, Pretty much Dante has settled in. He's in this unnamed town, um, and he's setting up shop. His store, Devil May Cry, from the first game, except for he hasn't found a name for the store yet. And it starts off, he gets this call, and he's like, "Sorry, not open for business yet." Hangs it up, and a weird guy by the name of Arkham uh, ends up coming in, waltzing right in, and saying, "I have an invitation for you." And he pretty much flips the desk over that Dante is resting his legs over, and Dante's in the middle of just trying to enjoy himself, eating a pizza and whatnot. And all of a sudden, this weird guy Arkham ends up coming in and ruining his good pretty much relaxation time. And all of a sudden, Arkham ends up disappearing, and uh, we get introduced to these Grim Reaper type of creatures. They're very similar looking to uh, the creatures that you have to hurt them with the mask thing. Like, the only way to hurt them is by slicing their masks. Um, these ones you don't have to have that problem. You just simply slice and dice them. And each of these particular figures are made of sand, but they correspond with the seven deadly sins like gluttony, uh, lust, uh, what are the other ones? There's gluttony, lust. I'm not familiar with the seven deadly sins, so sorry. But all seven deadly sins are in this game. Um, Anyways, we've got that, and whereas it didn't play a big part in the first game, we found out that Nilo Angelo was Dante's brother. In this one, we find out that it's his twin brother by the name of Virgil. And Virgil, he's power hungry. And so, Arkham is pretty much, sorry, scratching my chin. Arkham is pretty much Virgil's right-hand man. Not really a sidekick, but he helps Virgil out in some ways. And we've also got this character by the name of Lady. Her name is Mary, but she's called Lady through most of the game. I'll show off a picture of her. Set the case to the side. I like how the book opens up. It's like a big picture. Yeah, Dante being all cool. I really like that this special edition is a special edition. It's not like some half-assed type of special edition like some games are. Oh, an extra mode, yay! This one has several extra modes. Bloody Palace mode, being able to play as Virgil. You get to verse the Jester as a boss, and you also get a gold orb instead of just a regular yellow orb, which the gold orb lets you continue as many times as you want from the point where you died. So anyways, there's Lady, there's Arkham, there's Virgil, and there's Dante right there. I like when you start up a new game, you get like the voice that says Devil May Cry, but when it goes to that, it's a demon voice. It goes Devil May Cry. Sorry, I can't do a demon voice to save my life. But anyways, that's the instruction booklet. I can see why this is everybody's favorite, and of course it's my favorite too. It's got all the stuff that made the first game great and amps it up to 10. It amps it up to maybe even 100. Because you've got the overall atmosphere back, except for this one's more comedy action, whereas the first game was horror action. It relied more on creepiness and dark atmosphere. This one relied more heavily on the action and the jokes and everything. And Dante is a jokester in this one. And Dante, whereas in the first game he talked a little bit, in the second game he didn't really talk at all, in this one he talks a lot. So you really get to know Dante. And Dante doesn't want to accept the fact that he's half demon, so he acts as if his father doesn't even exist. And his mother, of course, is dead, and they touch on that in this game. a little bit more. And Dante wears this amulet around his neck, even though I don't think you can really see it. Um, it's not even there. But he wears an amulet in the first game and this game, but he doesn't wear it in the second game for some reason. Maybe if I play the fourth game, it will explain it, but I don't know when I'll ever be able to play the fourth game. So I'll be skipping over that when I go to my next Devil May Cry review. Um, Pretty much, there's this amulet. His mother gave Virgil and Dante these amulets. Virgil gets a blue amulet, and Dante gets a red amulet. And it's weird because Virgil is more blue. Like, he wears a blue coat, uh, has a blue devil trigger, and his pretty much personality is just depressing. Now, he doesn't act like feeling sorry for me or anything like that, but he's blue. Yeah, that's the best way to describe Virgil. And here is Virgil on the back. Yep, that's during Bloody Palace mode. And Virgil, he's a likable villain. Like, you love to hate him, but at the same time, you kind of feel where he's coming from. Like, he wants power, and deep down inside, everybody wants power. And Dante, on the other hand, he just wants to kill demons because he thinks they're nothing but scum and worthless. And that's why he doesn't want to accept the fact that his father's a demon. So Virgil knows that his father's a demon and thinks that demons belong with power and deserve to pretty much be out there in the world and causing havoc and everything. And pretty much Dante, he just wants to chill, relax, mind his own business, and kill demons in the process. But Virgil, like I said, wants nothing to do with Dante. All he wants is the other part of the necklace, the amulet. Because if you remember in the first game, the amulets held the power to cross between heaven and hell. In this game, they touch on that a lot more. Virgil wants to use the amulet, both amulets, to create hell and bring it outward, out into the earth, bring it into our world. So I think that's a really kick-ass storyline. So here's what it says on the back. Dante's past is now revealed as Devil May Cry returns to its roots. Master Dante's multiple fighting styles while battling never-before-seen demons and new characters as you fight your way towards a brutal confrontation with Dante's mysterious twin brother, Virgil. And there's 2 extra styles in this special edition too, so I like that. I played through the regular DMC3, and there's 2 styles that are missing. The Quicksilver and the Doppelganger. In pretty much the Doppelganger is pretty much a shadow from the first game, except for you get to control the shadow. Pretty much it helps you out. It's pretty much a different form of the devil trigger. And then Quicksilver slows down time, and I like using that one. but my favorite style to use is probably either Trickster or Gunslinger. The circle button is your special action button, so if you use Gunslinger, you're if you press the circle button, you're able to pull off special moves with the guns. If you select Swordmaster and you press circle, you're able to perform different moves with the swords and everything. If you select Royal Guard, that's what it is. It's a defense style. So circle pretty much guards you. If you select Trickster, you're able to run up walls. It's pretty much an evasive style. So if you press circle, you'll be able to run up walls, flip, and you'll be able to jump in the air and jump from a 90-degree angle and go horizontally and everything. And I'm like, whoa. They went all out for the third game. That's why most people say third time's the charm. And they went out with a bang. Most times, threes can be a bad thing, like Halloween 3. Ugh. Ugh. I like the movie, but it doesn't really line up with Halloween storyline. It relies more on the season of Halloween, and then it doesn't have Michael, and it's just, it's just there. Silent Hill 3, it's a good game. I like it, but it's not as good as number 2, and it's not as good as Silent Hill 1. But it's a good game. It really is. And if you want to hear my thoughts on it, go back and look at my review of it. Then we get to Devil May Cry 3 and Resident Evil 3. Those games are absolutely amazing. With Resident Evil 3, you've got Nemesis always chasing after you, and you've got to be one step ahead of him and try to find tricks and ways to pretty much stop him, pretty much not really killing him. You do eventually get to kill him, though, thankfully. But pretty much all you have is you've got to find ways to slow him down. And then you've got Devil May Cry 3. It took everything I loved and everything of, like, Capcom listened to the fans. Like, this was back when Capcom was fun and awesome. And Capcom is still one of my favorite companies, but I don't like the decisions they're making nowadays. Like Resident Evil 5, like, really? You turned Resident Evil 5 into an action game. You turned Resident Evil into an action game. And Resident Evil 1 was survival horror. Resident Evil 2 was survival horror. Resident Evil 3 was survival horror with a tad bit of action implemented into it, but not entirely action. Then we get to Resident Evil 4. I like the game. I love it. It's one of my favorite Resident Evil games next to Resident Evil 2. Resident Evil 2 is my favorite, of course. And Resident Evil 4 is my second favorite. And so then Resident Evil 5 pops around and I'm just like, oh, you killed it. You killed a terrific series. Like, you've got Resident Evil 1, pure classic. Resident Evil 2 made it even better. Resident Evil 3, a step backwards, but it's great in its own way. Then Resident Evil 4 rolls around, great in its own way. And then Resident Evil 5 is just a large step back. I was just when I played it, I only played a little bit of it, and I was like, yeah, I'm done. I did a little bit of what the so-called campaign is, and what the hell is Resident Evil doing in Africa? And also, they made uh, Chris into a steroid abuser. Like, he looks like he's literally on steroids. You like, what? That's not Chris Redfield. Chris Redfield is a weapons expert. In that game, he knew a lot about weapons, and that's all he really used. He used guns, and that was it. Uh, and ammo was everywhere in Resident Evil 5, if I'm not mistaken. Whereas in Resident Evil 1, 2, and yeah, 3, um, ammo was really scarce, or scarce, however you want to say it. And that's what I loved. You were always afraid, like, that's what brought it into horror. Like, you were always afraid to go into a fight, but you had to in order to get to the next part of the game. But then you got Devil May Cry, which it has horror in it, but even then, it was still an action game. It didn't focus on horror, it focused on action from the start. That's why I have much more feelings for Devil May Cry as an action game, because it was meant to be an action game from the start. Um, but when you get to Resident Evil, uh, you slowly deteriorated it from survival horror, which was fantastic, to a lowbrow shoot 'em up. Like, I have nothing wrong with hack and slashes, action adventure games. Hell, I like Black, which is a great first person shooter. Hard as hell, but it's a fun first person shooter. I like Twist Metal. They're terrific action games. And those were meant to be action games from the start. But then Resident Evil, yeah, I'm just like, yeah. It's a series that it should have stopped after the fourth game. Um, and then they had extra games in between, like you got the Resident Evil Survivor series, which is laughably bad, but I had fun with them. I played a little bit of them when I was a little kid, and uh, I was like, ooh, finally, Resident Evil, and it feels like you are the character. But nowadays, I'm like, ugh, I liked that. I mean, I don't hate the game, I don't, but ugh. Looking at it now, I'm just like, But then we get Devil May Cry 3. This is 3 done right. Came out in 2005, 4 years after the first game. And I think Devil May Cry 2 came out in 2003 or 2004, one of the two. And if you want to hear my views on that one, go back and look at that review. But anyways, what we've got in the special edition is we've got a Jester boss enemy, a very hard mode, turbo mode, which makes the game go even faster than what it was normally meant to go, and being able to play as Virgil. And as if we didn't already know from what the back already says, it says prequel to the original Devil May Cry. And then it's got stuff like choose Dante's fighting style, maximize the impact of close-up blade attacks, or blow enemies away from a distance. A huge arsenal of weapons, handguns, shotguns, swords, and more. A horde of demonic enemies, more ferocious than ever, with powerful weapons and abilities to transform and fly. Yeah, they focused a lot on the action in this one, which I don't mind. And the music is absolutely amazing. Both the licensed soundtrack and the scores are absolutely amazing. The battle music is amazing. The score is amazing. The gameplay itself is top notch. The characters, I like them and I hate them at the same time, but I hate them because they're meant to be hated, and I like them because they're meant to be liked. And I just had an overall blast with this game. Um, it, but after the game was over, I felt like I felt like I felt like the Devil May Cry series was complete. They they should have just left it alone. Then we get Devil May Cry 4, and I don't know anything about that other than you play as Nero, and then you go back to the Nero levels as Dante. And I don't know much about it other than the fact that it repeats itself over and over again. Like, you pretty much go back to the same levels as Dante, which you should play as Dante from the start. So I'll get to that game eventually. But this introduced me to one of my favorite Devil May Cry characters outside of Dante, Jester. A lot of people hate Jester, but I personally like him. He helps you out through most of the game, but then you find out, yeah, you already know he is evil, but then you find out uh, why exactly he was helping Dante. He was trying to keep Dante alive for a very specific thing. He's not working for Virgil, and he's not really a good guy either. Um, he's kind of in the middle. But the further the game gets, you slowly realize that he's closer to Virgil than you think, and he's closer to Dante than you think, but at the same time, very far apart. There's a twist, and I'm not gonna tell anybody about it because it will blow your mind when you see it. But I say, look at the eyes. Look at the eyes. And look at the eyes of a very specific character you see in the beginning. Look at those eyes. And then look at Lady's eyes. Keep on looking at those eyes and you'll slowly discover what's going on. And that's what I love about this game. It's got a twist that you don't see coming until you focus on it and play through it a second time. You're like, oh. And when you see the ending, you're like, oh, so that's what it was. So look into the eyes. The double trigger here, absolutely amazing. I loved going into double trigger. Like, in the first game, I didn't really use it all that much. In the second game, I couldn't wait to get into the double trigger just to get my health back up. In this game, when I went into the double trigger, I wanted it just for the fun of it. I couldn't wait to get back into the double trigger. And I've got this game maxed out. I completed it 100% completion. I beat it on normal difficulty, easy difficulty, and Dante Must Die. And then I tried playing it on Heaven versus Hell mode, and I was just like, one hit kills even for you, and I'm just like, ugh. It is tough, but easy at the same time, if that makes sense. Tough and easy. So, yeah. Well, it's called Heaven and Hell. Heaven versus Hell mode. So, yeah. Dante Must Die was really hard. Uh, so, anyways, um, the story. What more can I say about the story? Dante is trying to stop his brother Virgil from destroying the world. Um, so, pretty much most of the game, you're trying to hunt Virgil down, but you've got all these demons coming after you, and I love the demons. And it says blood and suggestive themes, but I've only seen a little bit of blood in this game. Like, most of your enemies are made of sand. When you kill them, they burst into sand, and then they drift away. I didn't really see a whole lot of blood in this. And the Devil May Cry games were never about the gore anyways, so yeah. Um, it shows that even with a game where there is violence, you don't need blood, you don't need gore, you don't need anything like that. But you can have violence and still be within the range of, oh, it's not that bad. Like, even a little kid can play these games. Even though it's an M rating, even little kids can play these games. Like, there's nothing really bad about them until you get to Nevin. Or Nevon, whatever you want to call her. She's a witch. And, uh, take away her hair, you can see some tits. But that's really the only suggestive theme in the entire game. So, Nevin turns into a guitar, and yeah, you can hurt a person with lightning that comes out of a guitar. I think that's pretty damn awesome. The enemies were pretty fun to go up against, and they weren't too tough. And if I died, it was my own fault. Like, I didn't see that coming. The enemies came by at a quick pace, but at the same time, they were pretty easy to navigate around. The time limit wasn't a big issue. The time limits at least reset to a good time limit if you died. Like, it would restart. So that was good. Um, uh, Dante, I absolutely love this guy. I absolutely love this character. I wish they would have done more with him uh, than they did in Devil May Cry 4. I saw gameplay videos for Devil May Cry 4, and he was barely in it, from what I've seen. I didn't make it all the way through the videos. I only watched a little bit of them. And Devil May Cry 2, I'm just like, if you want to hear my thoughts on Dante in that one, you can go and see that review. But I had a blast playing this, and it had characters that I loved, characters that I hated, characters that I loved to hate, and just overall, the storyline was fantastic. And this game didn't focus too much on the story, but the story that was there was pretty great. And overall, for Devil May Cry 3 Dante's Awakening Special Edition, even without it being the Special Edition, I still give this game a solid 10 out of 10. I find nothing wrong with this game. Even when I played the regular version, I still had a blast. Even though it was too damn hard, I still had a blast playing it. I had help playing the regular DMC3, but overall, great package. Um, get the special edition because it's packed to the brim with bonus content. Like you've got behind the scenes footage, you've got the Bloody Palace mode, um, and you've got power ups that are actually worth getting. Like the upgrades are definitely worth it, and the enemies are absolutely amazing. So 10 out of 10. Pick this one up if you're a fan of the Devil May Cry series and you want something that will stick with you and you'll want to keep on coming back to it. So, play it and enjoy it. Great replay value and overall one hell of a good time. So, uh, get a bunch of friends together and play some Devil May Cry 3. And while you're at it, play some Devil May Cry 1 and play a little bit of Devil May Cry 2. Yeah, Devil May Cry 2. Or it's an alright game, but if you want to hear my views on that one, go back and look at that review. But anyways, Devil May Cry 3, 10 out of 10. Check it out. Peace. Psychopath1c.